Well, welcome everyone to the Peeps time.
Hey there, little peeps. Today we're going to learn all about the moon. You've seen it, right? Some nights it's big and round like a glowing ball. Other nights it's just a tiny slice, and sometimes it disappears completely. You already know that the moon changes shape. But do you know why it happens? Is the moon actually shrinking and growing? Or is there a secret behind this magical transformation? Well, get ready, because today we're unlocking the mystery of the moon's changing shape. Let's blast off into space and find out. But the first question is that, does the moon really change shape? No, the moon doesn't actually shrink or grow, it just looks that way from Earth. It's all because of sunlight and the way the moon moves around us. You see, the moon doesn't have its own light. It only reflects light from the sun. But as it orbits around Earth, different parts of it are lit up, making it seem like the moon is changing shape. It's a little space trick played by the sun, moon, and Earth together. But how exactly does this happen? Let's break it down. The moon's shape-changing cycle. The different shapes of the moon are called phases, and they follow a pattern that repeats every 29.5 days. That's why the moon looks different from one night to the next. Let's go through the moon's amazing cycle. New moon, the moon disappears. The start of the cycle, the moon is completely dark. Why? Because it's positioned between Earth and the sun, and the side facing us isn't getting any sunlight. It's still there, but we just can't see it. Waxing crescent, a tiny sliver appears. A few nights after the new moon, we start to see a little glowing slice in the sky. This is called a waxing crescent. Waxing means the moon is growing bigger each night. First quarter, halfway bright. For about a week, the moon looks like a perfect half circle. This is called the first quarter. Even though it looks like half a moon, it's called a quarter because it has completed 1/4 of its journey around Earth. Waxing gibbous, almost full. The moon keeps getting bigger. This phase is called a waxing gibbous, a fancy way of saying it's almost full. Full moon, the brightest night. Now the whole moon is glowing in the sky. This is called a full moon when the entire side of the moon that faces Earth is completely lit up. Fun fact, the full moon is so bright that it can even cast shadows at night. Waning gibbous, the moon shrinks. After the full moon, the cycle starts reversing. The moon starts getting smaller. This phase is called a waning gibbous. Waning means shrinking. Last quarter, half again. Now we're back to another half moon, but this time the opposite side is lit up compared to the first quarter. Waning crescent, almost gone. As the moon moves closer to the new moon phase, we see just a tiny slice again. This is called the waning crescent, the last phase before the cycle starts over. And then, boom, we're back to a new moon and the whole cycle repeats. The question is that, why don't we have an eclipse every month? Wait a minute. The moon moves between Earth and the sun during a new moon. Shouldn't it block the sun every time? Why don't we have a solar eclipse every month? Well, here's the secret. The moon's orbit is tilted. It's not perfectly lined up with Earth's orbit around the sun. That means most of the time the moon passes a little above or below the sun from our point of view. But on rare occasions, everything lines up just right, and that's when we see a solar eclipse. Pretty cool, right? Now it's time for fun about moon you didn't know. The moon is moving away from Earth. It drifts 1.5 inches, 3.8 centimeters away from us every year. Millions of years from now, it will look smaller in the sky. The same side of the moon always faces Earth. That's because the moon rotates at the same speed that it orbits Earth. So no matter what, we only see one side. The moon has quakes. Just like earthquakes, the moon has moonquakes, but they last way longer than earthquakes on Earth. There's no wind or sound on the moon. Because the moon has no atmosphere, there's no air to carry sound or create weather. So next time you look up at the moon, remember, it's not actually changing shape. It's just a trick of light and shadows as the moon moves around Earth. And who knows? Maybe one day you could stand on the moon looking back at Earth, watching our planet change shape instead. Hey little peeps, if you love this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what's your favorite moon phase? See you next time.